Hello, 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 welcome back to another Rolemaster Classic on Fantasy Grounds Classic using Dakadin's updated rule set. Got a new mic here, so it sounds almost as if I'm in an office surrounded by stuff and not in a professional studio. I mean, as if. Today we're going to do the character sheet. Really, you should try and watch the character creation videos, the one called Fighter and the one called Magician, because some of the stuff that's covered in here is covered in there with a bit more context. So go to Characters. Go to who you want, Virula in this case. Drag her across. The character sheet, as you can imagine, keeps everything you need for your character in one nice place with a lot of tabs down the side. Everything I'm going to talk about today, I am grabbing from the help document in the wiki. And how you find that is just click on the question mark. That loads in this. And so I'm going to read quite a lot of it from here. Paraphrase some else as well. I'm just going to go through this huge document. So you can read it at your own time if you want, instead of listening to me witter on. So, character sheet, here's the tabs that summarise those. Main, that's the basic attributes of the character, you know, names, professions, races, stats, resistances, you can see them all there. Combat is your weapons, your armour, associated effects on movement, DB. Skills, all to do with the skills of how to increase skills, get skills, delete skills, basically just maintain them. Spells, manage all your spells, add new spell lists, look at them. Inventory, what you're carrying, how much money do you have, what encumbrance do you have. And then finally, any notes that you've made on the character, any notes that you as a GM want to make, and anything about the appearance. There you go, stop, done. But, okay, as usual, let's go into a much more detail. Okay, so this is a player fillable field, it's not taken from anything else. This is the name. Next one is profession. Profession you can grab from a drop-down. You can type it in exactly as it's known in the system, so magician have to be spelled exactly like that. Or you can just drag and drop from, say, professions. Right-hand click. Drag the red iron crown symbol. And a little note on the iron crown symbol. Every time you see that, when you click on it, it always gives you more information about that particular aspect that you've just clicked on. And I didn't know it's called the iron crown symbol until I read that wiki, so learn something every day. What else we got on here? We've got the hover over that. That's the portrait. And you can double click on that and choose other portraits depending on what the GM's made available to you. And the one beside it is the tokens. That normally is a copy of the portrait, but the token is what will appear on maps, battle maps, dungeons, etc. Next one there is the speak as. So you can speak as a PC, so me as a GM can click on that. And then if you see down there, me Virula. That comes up as Virula saying that. Or I can just switch back to the GM. Of course, by the way, look, you can do them from here as well. All different personas are along here. Me GM. Back to me. You get it. Right, next one was known as the personal area. Race, much like the profession, you can type it in exactly. You can use the drop down. Or you can drag and drop from the races here. And Iron Crown gives you more information. Realm, well, if you're a pure magic user, it'll take it up automatically. Otherwise, if you're not, you can just choose it. Level, write that in yourself. Current XPs, write that in yourself. When you type in the level, it'll automatically give you the next level experience points. And all these here are what you type in yourself. But bearing in mind, whatever you put in is the height, and any race that you put in here, by the way, which gives you the racial bonuses, for example, quickness, will affect the movement rate, the encumbrance. This last one, well, let's see. App's just appearance. It's an optional stat. What's this next one? Statistics, stats. We've seen those in the character creation video. Use the magnifying glass to go into a bit more detail about those. One thing that I was asked on Facebook is, I want to make my own races. Can I do that? Well, sure. Just change them here. Or tweak them with the special. On here, remember, is your initial stat generation, or also your stat gains in between levels. And that will give you then this readout, which is your temporary stat. Any temporary damage you've taken, which gives you your current, and then your final total. You notice those are greyed out, so you can't touch those. They're derived from something. And don't forget tooltips on most of this stuff. Anything else on stats? Yes, so it's the greyed out dice if you want to be able to make a stat test, like a constitution. And remember as well, with the damage one, you have to maintain that yourself. Next one beside this is the resistances area. Again, magnifying glass to look into these in more detail, which I hadn't actually done until I looked at the wiki and went, oh really, you can do that. Oh look, you can add in items for your resistances, any specials, any other miscellaneous stuff. And you can even do that with the hybrid resistances. Pretty neat. And then also down here, move and initiative, again, another magnifying glass to be able to change these. Maybe increase or decrease the base movement rate. Something that affects your initiative. For example, the one shot I did for Gen Con, somebody said, hang on, my character's got a +20 initiative, which I didn't realise when I rolled it up. Just went into here, miscellaneous bonus, put 20 in there, and then they had a good initiative bonus for each round they're rolling on. And just like you can do from the combat tracker, you can use the move grayed out dice, you can do your initiative, which also leads us on to exhaustion. You can maintain your exhaustion from here, or in the combat tracker automatically do that. Remember, as long as you've turned it on in the GM options, and I've shown you how to do that in previous videos, especially the combat tracker one. And that's just your maximum exhaustion and how much exhaustion you've used. Here are maintaining your hits. What's your maximum number of hits? What damage have you currently taken? Power points. What's your maximum power points? Any spell multiplier do you have? Do you have any spell adders? And that's your total. And then you've got how much you've used of those spell adders and power points. There are some optional rules for those where you can use it to derive your power points from a PowerPoint development skill or from the total bonuses rather than the actual stat itself. If I show you that, right down the very bottom for optional rules. Bonus base. By the way, you see here CH, so character law 1. If you go into the library, then go into character law, you'll see index of optional rules. Just click on that and then you'll see all of them. So this was character law 01, bonus based PCs. Look, option 1. Power points based on stat bonuses. What does that mean? Well, if I turn that on, let's just clear some of this stuff for a second. If we go to here and turn it on, so +20, what's that giving you? That's giving you 2 per level. Now, if we take a massive amount of damage here, 50 point of damage, that's now +5, so that's going to go significantly down. By the way, if it doesn't change automatically, just close the character sheet, open the character sheet, and it'll make the change. But let's turn that back off, and the actual changes straight away. And they weren't based on PowerPoint development skill. Right, languages, these are all for the GM to decide what languages they are, what levels they're at, but you can put them all in here and just use the twisty to add more. Brown twisty, green icon, red icon to delete, green icon to add more. As I'm scrolling down this wiki, it's now come across the stats bits and it's explaining every single bit, so I suppose I better explain all that. So the stat name, grey out dice is how you roll the stat. This is abbreviation for the stat, this is the temporary stat, the damage, the current total, the total, you know all about that, but we've got magnifying glass, there's other stuff. Potential that stats might be, bonuses that it's giving at the moment, the racial bonuses, any wildcard sort of special type bonuses you want to add, that gives you the totals. This is the development points that those stats will give you. And this is what will go through when you click off the magnifying glass. And that gives you a DP total. You've just seen this in the character generation video anyway, but there's your initial stat generation. You can roll them. Now, some things I didn't cover in the character generation video, if you go into the options and go down to, I believe it's character GM, yep, and you'll see stat generation, always use the minimum, or you can have a minimum acceptable roll, and then we've got optional rules. Alternative stat generation methods, the core random, you roll 10 D100 rolls, and potential stats are determined by referring to whatever table it is in the rules, and you just reorder all the stats to your heart's content. And you've seen how to do that in the character generation video. That's the one we used. There's also random fixed. That's 10 D100 rolls. Wherever they land, that's where they are. That's where they stay. Can't rearrange. Next one's the 3-column one. And I like this one, actually. I hadn't seen this one when I looked in the rules. And it's basically you get 3 sets of 10 D100. You reorder those sets within those sets, those columns. You select 1 to be your temporary stats, 1 to be potential, and the 3rd column you just discard. Nice, I like that. You can get some decent stats out of that, because I would like my heroes to be heroes, my players to be above and beyond other characters. And how that will change is it'll add in a left and right. So I'm going to, oh there you go, let's go underneath it. So that's how you can do it there, move them left and right to whichever ones you want to be, whatever. Temporary roll, potential roll, and what you're going to get rid of. I'm going to keep that on, because I'm going to use that from now on for any campaigns I do. Alright, what are we up to next? Stat game windows, you've seen that in the previous videos. Just roll them, apply them. Let's just check there's nothing amazing in there that I haven't spoken to you about before. No, it's all the same. Right, get rid of that, get rid of that. That is the main tab. Let's move on to the combat tab. Well, these are all your attacks and defenses, it says there. What attacks are they? What are their offensive bonus? What's the fumble? Any range modifications for those attacks? Where do these come from? Well, weapons and shields, they come actually automatically from the inventory, whether they're equipped or not. So hopefully we should see a quarterstaff. There it is there. But nothing else there that could be used as a weapon officially. Obviously you can use them as impromptu weapons. Now for the spell attacks though, you'll have to use these icons. Martial arts to add these, and spell attacks to add your spell attacks. Then all you do, remember, is associate the items, the martial arts attacks, the spell attacks with the appropriate skills or bonuses. Next one, if you've got the right kind of stuff, probably better if you show Bob on this one. So fire Bob up a second, go down to combat. If he's got things in his inventory that can be equipped, items in his inventory that can be equipped, you can just use the drop down. So his hand axe, you could also use in his primary hand as his composite bow, flail, or a hand axe. You just choose those. Also here, looking at Virula, you can use any kind of items that have been set up which are an adder or a multiplier. However, you're only allowed to choose one item that affects those. There is a bit of a limitation on this, obviously, that you can only choose the one item. So they do recommend, I say they, Dakadin does recommend sticking it in the notes field, any other stuff that you have. When I made this, just make things simple, I made the item so that it did both of them at once. Spell adder and a multiplier. I just made it from scratch. That'll be another video one day, by the way, NPCs and also how to create items. Don't know how you do daily items at the moment, if you can do it, so by the time I've done that video, I'll know if you can or can't do that. I did notice as well a little note in the wiki saying that shields do not currently update the attacks and defences section, so that'll be something that Dakadin will work on at a future date. Armour protection by location, back to Bob again I think for this. This is taken from what you've equipped, your armour. So it will be something you can't change yourself at this point, but bear in mind, if you went to the chain shirt and greaves, and you unlocked it, you can set it up in here. It's all there. But that's another video for another time. And the bottom box there is really your armor type and DB, defensive bonus. So what armor type is it? What does your stat give you? Any magical bonuses? Any adrenal defense? What does your shield do? And anything else you want to add in there. That'll give you a total defensive bonus. And then the armor maneuver modifications are taken from the armor type itself. And you could affect these again by editing the item itself. Really flexible nowadays. The previous rule set implementation, you couldn't do that. Suppose I better say what these are. Minimum maneuver penalty, maximum, your moving maneuver penalty, your missile penalty, and your quickness penalty. That's your combat tab. Let's look at that. Skills. So this Iron Crown tells you more information about the skill itself. Grayed out shadow dice, so you can use those if that skill allows that. So for example, speed and strength, that's more of a static maneuver, but these skills like acrobatics and climb you can. Then you have the skill calculation, how that skill is to be calculated. I learnt these through trial and error, but in the wiki it tells you exactly what these do. So the base, that's a base progression, so rank times 5. So that'd be things like, as you can see here, moving and chain. So even when you get to the 11th rank, it's no longer the first 10 ranks are 5 and the 11th rank is then 2. It doesn't, it carries on as times 5. You can see that right there, 12 ranks times 5 is 60. Then you have the hits type, which is where you don't derive your rank bonus off the skills, you just manually maintain what's in the rank bonus. Man, that's for manually maintain, so it's like a special skill calculation. So yes, you can see there, it's not even adding anything, you'd put your own totals in there. PP, which isn't on there at the moment, is your PowerPoint, and that's really for PP development. And the final one, most common one, is just your standard type, which is the one you'll know from the rules. First 10 ranks worth 5, next 10 ranks worth 2, next 10 ranks worth 1, blah blah blah. What do each of these mean? Well, hopefully you know that. Calculation just told you about the cost of the skills for the first rank, for an extra rank. If it's got a star, then it's one of those ones which is intense training, whatever you call it. What rank you got in that? What bonuses that give you? What status it derived from? What level bonuses, if any, do you have? Are any item bonuses? Are there any special or miscellaneous bonuses or penalties? And that'll give you your total. Skill development you've seen in the character creation video, so quickly just fire that up and just show you. You can add all the primary skills, all the secondary skills. You can just look at the tables themselves and drag them on. You can remove anything that doesn't have any ranks in it or untrained. Ones I don't normally use, these two, which is clear new ranks, so that clears all of the new ranks. And this one, which is a great one, which I should have used before, If somebody accidentally hit the add new ranks and went, oh no, I'm not finished yet, you can just fire us back up again and do that. Remove the new ranks and it will remove everything that was in the new field. That's pretty good because that's happened to me a few times. Suppose you look at a skill by itself, at the properties here. What type skill is it? Moving maneuver in this case. Can you group these by different types? So you can create your own groups here for your own skills if you want to. Progression, we've talked about, how it's calculated. What stats, make sure you spell those correctly and use the correct abbreviations. This is the armor penalty, how much that applies. That's 1 time, but something like swimming, I think it is. Can do it 3 times, and then other stuff which doesn't affect by armor at all. What's that could be? That could be adrenal strength, maybe. Not affected at all. Not affected at all. Now I'm just going to close these skills tabs. By the way, look, it's sortable here, so you can click to sort by skill name. So that's in descending, ascending. What you can also do is you right hand click, you can group these. So you've got the moving maneuvers, the static maneuvers, the offensives, the specials, all together in a group. Your choice. And that is skills over the spells. So you can choose what realm you want to view. Look at the realm list from that particular realm. Or the essence type, in this case. And so use this one here, spell category, just to choose, okay, I want to add all the essence opens, so you can then add all those. Or individual spell lists, just choose what you want. Up and down. Once you find what you want, click it, add a spell list. Get rid of all these. Right, deleted those. This area itself, well, Iron Crown gives you more information about that spell list. The spell list name itself, what type it is it a base spell, what level is it learnt up to? Now that's something you type in yourself. Now remember, if you're learning spells, you'll put in that chance there. If you don't learn at that particular level, just leave it there. But if you do, make sure you then delete what's in the chance and then put in the level that you've learnt it to. So for example, I know Ice Law here, they've not tried to learn that at all and they don't know it. One thing Wiki said about, by the way, is that once you've learnt it, a good idea is to go to the skills list and then actually 0 the ranks for that particular spell list. So Fire Law, you'd put down to 0. Or, they say some GMs is just remove the skill itself completely, so it keeps your skills down to a nice manageable amount, and everything you need is still in spells to tell you know it. And that's spells. Let's go on to inventory. How much of the particular item are you carrying? Where is it kept? How much does one of them weigh? What's the total for that? Also, what is the dead weight for that? And look, it tells you there on the tooltip exactly what that means. So if he was wearing armour, let's look at Bob. Bob's inventory. There's a chain shirt and greaves. It is weight of 32, but because he's got it equipped, it's 0. How do you add stuff to this? Well, you add it yourself. Just right-hand click and add new. Fill in what you want to call it, and click in here if you want to add more detail. That's another video at some point. Go right-hand click and delete that. Or just go into items. Find what you want. Search for it, and then just drag in the Iron Crown and just drop it in. Then at least it'll have some of these information that's with it. Now location, by the way, is something you write in yourself. Let's show you. So this says backpack. So let's say that the bedroll hangs off the backpack. I could just type in there exactly what that is. And then if I try and reorder this, hopefully it will show that it just comes in a bit now. So it's showing you that in the backpack is a bedroll. And also his jar of cider. He likes his jar of cider. I spelt that wrong there. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Back. Backpack. And there we go. It's in the backpack. These icons, 3 types. You can carry it. You can equip it. So I've equipped the backpack, and look what it did. It equipped all of it there. Or I can not carry it. So good thing might be you have a backpack. You've got 20 pounds worth of stuff. You've got a penalty associated with that. You want to leg it. You can just say, oh, I've dropped my backpack. And then if you want, you can just drop it. And that will come off your encumbrance and your load. Pretty clever. Equipped, as we just said, if you're wearing it, it's not going to be any dead weight. And also it's just a good way to show that you've equipped a particular item. As I said earlier, doesn't matter if this is carried, not carried, or equipped. If it's an item that can be fought with, it's going to appear in your combat tab anyway, because it's in the equipment list. Coin names, well, this is all the coins that you can set. You can change these as a GM if you want to. GM sets this what these are called, and then it's just a tracking of a numerical field, all manually maintained. Last one down there is encumbrance, how much they're allowed to carry, what do they actually carry, so what penalty does that generate, what offset is that for the stat, anything else that will help that, and that'll give you your total. That's that. So the final one is the notes tab. All free form fillable, obviously apart from the stuff which is always at the top. Any appearance you want to add in there? So appearance description, she's stocky. Really? 7'6" and 236 pounds, and the notes were stocky. Okay. I always thought of her as a thin, willowy type person. In the wiki it says here, not just for physical appearance, you can have demeanour, attitude. Notes, this is what I use normally to make any notes around the campaign, the character, clues, investigations, places, that kind of idea. And as you can see, the first thing I do for it though is just write down what did I spend my background points on. And this one here, only you as the GM will see, the player will not see these, just in case you want to make a little few notes. How I've used that in the past is for a one shot. I put a little note in there as part of that one shot to remind me what would help in that one shot, what was unique about this character, which would really drag them out. So if they're quite a quiet participant in it, you could say at this point, quick whisper, by the way, you've got the XYZ item which might help here. And the last note it makes on this for the character sheet says that if you really want to massively expand these, they suggest you actually use the notes up here. Make your own notes. Right hand click, add new. Blah blah blah. Add your stuff. And you'll have your notes in there. You can make it public. Maybe that's a video at some other point. Do you know what? I never use notes, I've got to be honest. Anyway, now you're starting to waffle. That's got to be it. That's got to be the end of this video. I think you've gone through this character sheet in enough detail. But I'll catch you next video. Cheers. Bye.